Now, I am really genuinely excited about today's webinar because this one is going to be super practical. So we've been looking at, over the last couple of months, we've been looking at the data that has been coming out of the of our benchmark report and how to use that to improve your email campaigning. And in this one, we're going to look at lead loss, how much it's costing us, and we're going to actually go through the steps so that from the start to get yourself set up so that you know exactly how to structure your email campaigns so that you're capturing leads. And we're going to go sort of really deep dive into it. So here's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be looking at how many leads could be in your database right now. Now, this is based on the statistics that we saw coming out of the benchmark report. You'll need to adjust this for your own data, but it gives you a guide to work out what that's going to look like. We're going to look at the behavior that leads to lead loss. Now, this is digital behavior and it's analog behavior. So the stuff you're doing in real life when you are or are not picking up the phone and talking to people. We're going to look at how to create long-lasting relationships that really build your business. So staying in touch with people, being recognized as their agent of choice, and having them come to you when they need help, as opposed to you having to constantly cold call and hustle. And we're going to look at, this is my favorite bit, how to automate the work so that you can set it onto autopilot and give yourself space to breathe and give yourself space to enjoy the conversations that you're having with people. Now, is my internet connection okay, Chris?
Yep, all good.
Okay, cool. All right. Zoom sending me messages that may or may not be accurate. Okay, so we are going to make this super practical. We're going to review some of the data. We're going to take a step-by-step guide at setting up your emails. We're going to look at exactly what type should you send, especially if you haven't done this before or if you're new or starting out. We're going to look really importantly at what should you say in them? What kind of information should you be including? And we're going to look at how often to send them. And then we're going to look at, well, how do you merge your digital and your real life behavior? Yeah. So lost leads and their agents. So 2,823 is the standard or the average number of contacts that any the agents inside the ActivePipe platform have in their database. So that's the standard size of a database inside ActivePipe. What we also know across Australia, according to CoreLogic, it doesn't matter who you ask, is that typically in any given year, about 5% of properties are sold annually. Now, that means if you make 5% of 2,823, give or take, you're going to end up with about 135 properties. So that means that there are 135 people sitting in your database right now who are likely to own a property that is going to transact in the next 12 months. Now, remembering this is data and it's statistics, so it's in the realm of being right. It doesn't need to specifically be exactly this for your database. You might have more than 2,823 contacts. You might have slightly less. You know, the percentage of properties sold sort of sway a little bit, but these numbers are generally true. What we therefore know, and what we know therefore also, is that about 60 leads are lost per agency per year. So they're lost because people don't get back to the person, or they don't contact them in time, or the person in your database has forgotten about you because it's so long ago that you sold them a house. So we know that about 60 leads are lost per agency per year. And if you look at the median dwelling price, so not apartments, not houses, but actually dwelling price in Australia, and I'm going off CoreLogic numbers that were done at the time of the report. In Australia, our number around that is about 695,000 from memory. That's the median dwelling price. If we look at about a 2.5% commission on that, then those 60 properties a year is costing about $1.05 million in lost commission revenue in your business. Now, if you're a Kiwi, and I know there's lots of Kiwis on the call, we have pulled these numbers out for you in New Zealand. They're slightly different, obviously, because your median sales price and everything is different, but it isn't necessarily these exact numbers that impact your business. It's the kind of mathematics behind it, which is 60 out of 135 are the number of leads that you're likely to be lost in your CRM at the moment. So how many contacts do you have? Work out what that is, and then times it by the commission rate of, as a proportion of your the median sales price that you sell in your market, and you'll come up with the number for your market of exactly how much you could be losing. Now, don't get too focused on what you could be losing. The purpose of that is to understand, well, is this time that I'm about to spend on email marketing worthwhile? And am I going to be able to incorporate it into other things that I'm doing in my business? And the answer to that is yes. So this is really around the value proposition of what doing some good, solid email marketing is going to bring to your business. So why do we lose so many leads? Like, why are we losing 60 leads every year? Let's take a look at that. Well, at the top of the funnel, now this is our sales funnel, and I've showed this before a couple of times, which is how people kind of are starting to get to know you and start to use you. So at the top, they've never heard of you, they become aware of you, they might need your services, then they meet you, they engage with you, and then hopefully they become a raving fan. Now, at the top of the funnel, the behavior that leads to lost leads is the fact that agents just don't bother to capture the data. They have people coming into an open for inspection, or calling up about something, or, bumping into, or the guy that they buy their coffee from every single day. They're just not taking their name, asking for their email, and putting it into their database. So at this top end of the funnel, they're not growing their database, and they're just not capturing the data. In the middle of the funnel, and this is one of the biggest behaviors that leads to lead loss, they're just not doing anything. They're not staying in touch. So there's no way for people to remember who you are, to be connected with you, or to form a relationship of trust with you, because you're not really reaching out to them. You're only going to them when you want something, which is a lead, which is happening further down the funnel. And then that behavior puts people off. So in this middle area where they've met you, maybe they need your services, maybe they don't, but maybe they know someone who needs your services. This is a really important point of failure in real estate, where we're just not staying in touch. And it's one of the most powerful ones that email marketing can work on. And then at the bottom end of the funnel, we're just being too slow to respond. So we know from the data that a lot of calls are not being responded to in a prompt time frame. Most people, when they make an inquiry about a property, expect to be contacted in a couple of hours. Most agents, however, don't get back to those buyers or respond to inquiries for at least 24 hours. So there's a really big disconnect in that space. So how do we fix this? Well, where we're not capturing the data, we need to start collecting data, and we need to start tagging it, or recognize who is in our CRM already. So we need to do a bit of a data cleanup, or we need to put the processes in place so that our data starts to clean itself up. Now that's, don't freak out, that really is a thing, and we're going to talk about it. They don't stay in touch. So we haven't got our campaign set up, or we need to set up basic campaigns, and we need to start to be communicating with people regularly in a way that lets them engage whenever they're ready. But we need to be in their inbox all the time, so that they know that they've got someone that they can reach out to when there comes time to transact. And too slow to respond? Well, that's where we need to start to set up our automations to free up our time, because it's absolutely true that if you are trying to do everything manually, you have absolutely zero time, and you're probably running around like a headless chook. And in that kind of environment, helping buyers, helping 59 buyers inquire about the open time for a property is never going to happen properly. We need to, you're never going to be able to call all those people. It's a real time suck in your day. And so we need to set up automation so that all of that common stuff, or that easy stuff to answer, is resolved really quickly. And that way you can start making calls that are really meaningful and important, and you can prioritize them because you know that they are really strong leads, not just get caught up in the noise. So who is in your database right now? Well, right now, whether you realize it or not, you are going to have people in that database who are probably buyers. They've walked into an open for inspection. They've seen a listing on realestate.co.nz or realestate.com or any of the portals, and they've put an inquiry in, and you've captured their information. But when you caught their information, did you recognize them as a buyer? That's the question I'm asking. There's definitely going to be sellers in there, and that's the treasure that we're trying to hunt for. But you kind of have to look at them sort of almost sideways. They're not necessarily all going to jump out at you immediately. There's definitely going to be investors in there. There's going to be people in your database, and especially if you're incorporating your data from your property management database, well, absolutely, you've got landlords in there who are investors who may be interested in selling or buying new property themselves. And then you've got this miraculous little group of what I call VIPs. Now, a VIP is pretty much anyone that doesn't fit one of those three categories. And that might be that they don't fit those categories right now because you don't know which category they fit. So a VIP can be a past client, someone who you sold a property to in the past, or you sold a property for in the past. And that can be 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. Doesn't matter. If they're a past client, they're a past client. It might be a local resident, because we all know that real estate agents do, should, and love to farm their local area. And you probably have got a list of names of people and the property, the addresses that they're connected to sitting in your database right now. But do you have their email? Probably not. So that can be a really great goal as part of this exercise. It might be a local business owner. It might be the guy that you buy coffee from every morning. Might be where you get your hair and nails done. Might be your barber. Could be anyone that you visit on a regular basis that you say hey to when you walk down the street. Could be people in the PTA that you're part of. Doesn't matter. But a VIP, very important property owner, is anyone that you're not sure about inside your database. And if you have a whole bunch of people in your database that you just can't remember, or it's been so long ago since you dealt with them that they're just names sitting in there, then we need to get their email address as quickly as possible, or we need to start to create opportunities to capture their email addresses. And once we've got their email addresses, we need to start talking to them. And this is where we start. Now, all of our contacts, our buyers, our sellers, our investors, and our VIPs, they all separately have a second level of tagging, which we call their status. Now, the top status that we really want to encourage, not all of them are going to have it, but we want to encourage this, is they are our engaged. Doesn't matter whether they are a VIP or a buyer or a seller or an investor or whatever, they are engaged. Now, they can be an investor who is engaged or isn't engaged, that's fine, but there's kind of two levels they can be. Now, engaged people are opening your emails, not maybe all of them, but just some of them. They're just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. And hopefully they are clicking on links, but that's kind of a deeper level of engagement. And we measure this by understanding our open rates and our click-through rates. So about 27% of our CRM, of our database, of those 2,800 contacts that are sitting in our database, we are hoping and working as a standard benchmark. You can expect that about 27% of those are engaged in some way with you. Now, 5% of them are likely to start clicking through, and so be demonstrating deep engagement. And this is where the gold is, people. So we're wanting to do things to really encourage open rates. We're wanting to put things into our emails that are really encouraging the click-throughs, because these are the signs of intent that indicate to us that people are connected to us, and hopefully also starting to demonstrate, and either in relationship with us or starting to demonstrate the signs that they are going to be ready to act soon. They can also be unengaged. They're not opening emails, or they're only opening them very, very occasionally. That's okay. Don't give up on them. It just means that they're not in a headspace yet where you're useful to them. And so they just don't have the bandwidth probably. Or disengaged, they're asking to be removed from your list. Now, these two things are also perfectly okay. Our unsubscribe rates are around 1.9%. So every email you send out, you should expect a level of disengagement, or people who are just really not particularly fussed by what you're sending out. So let's now start to dive in a deep dive. I'm just going to checking there. Okay. VIP email newsletters. Now, this is where most people start out when you subscribe to ActivePipe. You're looking for a way to produce your emails more quickly, and that's perfect. What I want you to do is start to get a little bit more strategic about that and the content that you're covering in them. What sort of content? We want to create an email newsletter This can be monthly, but we want to create an email newsletter that is engaging, interesting, topical, everything I need to know about what's going on in my local area. I want it to almost be an alternative to my local newspaper, but from a property point of view, right? So it pops in my inbox, even if I've just got 5 quick minutes to have a flick through it. I feel as a local resident or someone that knows you, that I know everything I really need to know right now about what's happening in the property market in my area. So what kind of content should you include in your monthly email? You should definitely have some market updates that are sharing how the market is performing. Now, there's lots of ways you can do this. You might have a video, you might have an article that you've written, or if you don't want to do any of that, at ActivePipe, as part of our Grow product, we have the market insights, which you can add in, which is a clickable visual of how the market is performing. And that can be a great tool. But you want to share with people because, real estate is certainly Australia and New Zealand as well. It's our favorite spectator sport. We love it. It unites all of our people. But secondly, remembering this is kind of a general email. So we want to have something else in that content that is reaffirming the value of property in like a warm way. And if you're a property owner, reassuring you that you're safe, that the market's is benefiting you at the moment, and that there are things you can do to maximize the value of the asset that you already have, even if you're not thinking of selling it for 3, 4, 5, 20 years. So what we want to do is probably put some information in there about renovation or general ownership tips, or even some local information about stuff that's happening in the local community if you're involved in it. So if you're sponsoring like a school fete or something like that, that might be where you put that kind of stuff in. You definitely want recent sales that illustrate how the market is performing. Now, don't overdo it. Don't put 79 gazillion in it, or make your whole email about recent sales. And the key with this is put the prices in, because that's the information, that is the gold information that everyone really wants to know. They don't want to ring you because you don't really want to ring them back just for them to find out something that they're curious about. You want to be able to have a place where that information is shared, where they know that if they open that email each month, they're going to see what the house up the road sold for. They're going to see what their neighbor that they've never really liked, who they thought was dreaming when they sold their property, that they did or didn't get the price that they wanted. That's the curiosity that really keeps us burning, and that we all desperately want to know. So poke that, feed that curiosity and share information that is really powerful to them. But finally, and this is the most important one, and we're going to deep dive into this a bit more, put a link in to a survey, and do this in every single VIP email newsletter that you create. You don't have to drag and drop the whole widget in. You can just put a line in about it, and you can certainly customize what that line looks like. But a survey link is absolutely important, because what we've got here in these 4 pieces of content are 4 really compelling things that when people click on them, you start to build a picture through the ActivePipe dashboard of what people are interested in, and therefore what they're going to do next. So here's what your VIP email goals are. This is what we're trying to do by sharing this specific kinds of content. We're trying to get our emails open first and foremost. Our goal is to have 27% of them open, but really what we want to do is we want to ace that number. We want to get it as high as we possibly can. So we want interesting subject lines in the email to really encourage people, to make them realize that this is not just an average real estate newsletter. This is actually some really compelling and important information about how my local property market is performing, that is going to, keep me up to date on all of the news that's going on in my area. So don't go with the default line that says market update from, Ray White Bundanoon. Do not do that. Put a really interesting title like property prices up 5% in Bundanoon, or how much did a record sale price in Smith Street, or put something in it to make people think, oh, I want to know that. I want to know the answer to that. We want to get great engagement with our VIP emails. And the way that we do that is we absolutely want powerful content. So we want content that is really going to is really going to engage. Sorry, my tree lopper's just decided to turn up after 15 days of avoiding me. Of course he has. We want to get great engagement. We want some really smart design. So we want it to look on trend for your brand, and we want it to look engaging, and we want it to look really easy and pleasing to read. So make sure that your design is really strong. We want to build up a picture of intention. So every time anyone opens the email and then they start clicking on things, what's happening at the back end of the ActivePipe platform is that we're capturing all of that data, and we're starting to build a picture up for you in the dashboard as to what that person did, so that we can start to work out what they're going to do next. So that's why making sure the content is sexy, that it gets you really into it, that it really is powerful about your market. That's why it's so important. And really what we want to do, especially in these first early ones, absolutely, we want to pick up the low-hanging fruit. If there is someone out there right now thinking about selling, we want to make sure that we know about that, and we know that through their survey responses. We want to know that they're no longer a VIP general email list. We want to know that they are a potential seller, or that they're about to buy. We want to know that their status has changed. So here's our goal with our VIPs. We want to build our reputation as being trustworthy and helpful real estate experts in our market. And so sending out a monthly email that's covering all of these things, completely going to nail it. Now, once we the kind of stuff you'll see in your dash, I've been hinting at it for a couple of slides, but your dash is going to tell you your engagement levels. So as once you've sent out those emails, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see how many emails were opened and who opened them, most importantly. So did you hit your 27% open rate mark? If not, how far off are you? Think about what you can do to up that a bit. But who opened them? Now you can see this to an individual level, and that's why it's so powerful. You can see who has clicked on the links inside your email, so you can see which links were the most interesting to your readers. So as you do it each month, you can start to prioritize the content that starts to get the most clicks, and you can look for more content or do more information that looks like the stuff that you see is getting the best click-throughs. You can see the location. So in here, so this is all out at the top area up here. We've got the intent, we've got the requests and the high value clicks that you've received. Down here, you can see our little guy that opened the email was based up here in Melbourne, but he was clicking on all of the property over here. So that indicates that he's looking to move over here or maybe to invest. But you can also see how many times he clicked on different properties, and you can see what he did with those properties. So basically, this starts to prioritize who you need to contact and the conversation you need to have with them. Don't have the conversation I just had with a real estate agent literally 5 minutes before this call, who just said, oh, we sent you a market report. Did you get it? Do you want to sell your house? Like, no, I don't. Buy me dinner before you take me home. Seriously, like how hard is it? Anyway, so this is your surveys, and these are your secret weapons that can go inside your emails. Now they can go inside as a little widget, they can go inside as a button link, you can personalize the headline, and I really recommend that you do that. But these are absolutely your secret weapon that I encourage you to use in every single email you send out, even if it's just the one line and a hot link that goes straight through them. But make sure you put this in, because it is gold. It's telling you that the person that was reading your email, that their status and their needs have changed, or that they're prepared to give you more information about what they need so that you can serve them better. Now, this is really powerful because it allows you to automate your tagging, and it reduces manual handling. Now, I know there's not a single real estate agent out there that lies in bed and wakes up in the morning thinking, I can't wait to tag my database. I know that's said no real estate agent ever, right? When they fill in this survey, what happens is that if they identify that, look, I'm no longer general, I actually am a buyer, or I'm no longer general, I'm actually a seller, the ActivePipe system sends a signal back to your CRM and tags them as that. So you don't have to do anything. So suddenly they've moved across and they've become a seller. And then any automations you set up for sellers or whatever that structure is, they start to then go into that funnel. I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Let me just pull it back. This means you can automatically customize your content, which means that no wins for no work. So you don't really have to do anything. What happens if I decide to become, if I tell you, I received this email from you, I click on the survey, I tell you that I'm interested in 4-bedroom homes in our area up to a price of 1.2 million, then when you are sending out your newsletters, it'll automatically pull the homes in that are 4-bedroom family homes or really close to it. And you don't have to do anything about that in your emails. We can set up the automation so that that the preferences that an email recipient has given you over, the emails are customized to those preferences. So this is really powerful. It means that if you've got investors looking for 2-bedroom apartments in your market, you stop sending them 4-bedroom homes. It means if you've got families looking to upgrade, you stop, sending them information about apartments. And you might think, does that really matter? Yeah, it does, because actually that's not what I'm looking for. You're making me filter through stuff, and I'm choosing you as an agent to help me out and to make my job easier. And surveys are absolutely, definitely, positively, according to the data inside the benchmark, the #1 lead identifier. So let's think about what's happening here. They're clicking on a link, they're opening the email, they're clicking on a link. These are all the hurdles that they're jumping through. Then they're providing you with information about the thing that they want to do next. And that information is gold, and it's the #1 way to identify leads, especially in that selling space. Now, 5% of them are going to start to click through on stuff, probably less than 1% are actually going to turn into that gold. But it means that when you see those leads inside your dashboard, absolutely jump on them, because you know that they are qualified. Now, seller emails, our second kind of email. Now, these are the ones that are dear to the heart of every real estate agent. I probably should have done buyer emails next, but let's start with sellers, because I know that these ones are all really important. What kind of content should you include in seller emails? Well, again, you should definitely include market updates, and that should be put in the framework of, well, why is now a good time to sell? When the market is behaving a bit erratically, or when there's scary stuff happening like war or pandemics, you can alter that messaging to talk about why is now a safe time to sell, like talk to people's desire for security. But they all still want to know, how is the market going? Are we okay if we decide to move now? Like, will we be all right? Will we get the price we want? What is a fair and realistic expectation for what's going on now? Everyone wants and needs to know that, and they need to know that every month. Don't worry that you're boring them. They need to know that every month, remembering not necessarily the same people are going to open your email every single month. Again, recent sales with prices, because sending everyone an email that shouts to the moon, I sold a house, the response is going to be, big deal, you're a real estate agent, it's what you're supposed to do. It kind of comes with the job description. What we really want to know, the thing that makes us curious, the thing that turns us on, and the gossip that we really want to know is, yes, but how much did it sell for? I want to know what my neighbor got for what they sold for. So make sure you're getting permissions from your sellers when you're selling, that you're allowed to do that. And a seller email can also really have a really effective, question and answer kind of section, like blogs sharing information about how to get your home ready for sale, how to declutter, issues around, things around downsizing, upsizing, selling with kids, getting ready to move, all of those sorts of things. The standard questions that every seller always has, you can start to ask and answer them in advance with blogs and articles. And again, this can just be a great way to build trust and connection with people. And again, last one, absolutely put a survey link in it, because this is where we really want to know when people are thinking about doing that next thing. And for seller emails, that thing is that they are really thinking of selling right now and really hot to trot. So we definitely want survey links in that. Now, those survey links might be, would you like to get an appraisal? Let's look at getting an appraisal for your current home. But this is where you're going to start to see real leads coming in. So these 4 things inside an email, just laid out quickly and easily in the ActivePipe system, would be a killer email structure to set up for sellers. Now, your goal here, stay connected and build their confidence so that they choose you when it comes time to when they are ready to act and hit the button to go. Now, our buyer emails. Now, I love buyer emails. I think they are the most neglected thing in real estate, and I think they are the most powerful thing to give you your time and your life back, because they are one of the easiest things for us to automate. What do you put into a buyer email? Well, these guys want listings. They want to know what you've got. They want to know if they can have it in advance of it going to realestate.com or realestate.co.nz. They are, there's so many buyers out there at the moment that are so frustrated. It is so easy to set up emails that give them a great service and make them feel like you're really helping them, when in fact all you're doing is just sharing information automatically. It's the simplest thing on earth. So they want the latest listings, and they do want to know some recent sales, because they need a little bit of a sanity check about where their head is at, and what they're turning up, when they're turning up to auctions or when they're turning up to negotiate. They need to know not just what's on the market now, but they need to know what things are selling for, so that they can, so they can make sure they've got the right amount of money and that they're in the ballpark. They really want open house updates. So if times are changing or something new's coming on the market, send them those updates. They love them, especially, no one wants to waste time on their weekend driving to a property that then turns out to not be open. They also really want a bit of help. So buyer tips and market updates. So how is the market performing? Why now is a good time to buy? Notice that this is not necessarily the priority for them. This is just like a little bit of latent reassurance that you're giving them, sort of further down the email. So you're talking to them about, you're telling them what's happening in the market, so that you're confirming for them it's okay. Like, if you buy, this is going to be the right thing for you. But certainly buyer tips, like how to do an inspection, why you need a property, why you need a pest inspection, how to negotiate, how to attend an auction, what you'll need to expect at an auction. All of those things can be really helpful for people. And survey links, because once they've bought, you definitely want to know that they've already just bought something. You want to put them back into your VIP list, and the ActivePipe will do that automatically for you. You want to know, you'll know the property that they've bought obviously by now, and you want to stay in touch with them on a regular basis. But really importantly, because we know that this is how the market's performing right now, is that if they have bought somewhere, there is a very high probability that they are now going to sell their existing property. So we know that people are buying before they sell in the current market. So when they start to say that they've actually bought something, it's worth the inquiry or doing follow-up to find out. So do you need to sell, or where's your head at on that? Now, here's your goal. You're going to automate your buyer emails so that you can deliver amazing buyer service. And here's another way. Here is another way that you can do this really quickly. And I'm just wondering if my slides are a little bit out of order, but you can definitely do like an open for inspection follow-up email that goes out after every open inspection that just says, like, how did you, that's automated, so that insert the property here. How did you find the property? There's a little quick poll so that you know who to call back from the OFIs. Because if you've got 20 parties through, that's too many to call back. You want to actually call the right people back in the right order. So send out an email immediately. You can send out an email and schedule it to go out the day of the open for inspection, and the people who respond to that email are people that are genuinely interested and are genuinely prepared to engage and negotiate with you, or have a relationship with you around that. So buyer emails, our open rate was about 27%. You'll probably find this one is a lot higher, because buyers want to talk to you. Now, we have a lot of content inside ActivePipe that is designed to help you like drag and drop this stuff so that it's really super easy. I mentioned before, we have our Market Insights product that basically provides your audience with the ability to see their suburb, see how the market is performing, median sales prices, graphs, all of that stuff really lets them explore. It's highly interactive and highly engaging, and it will you'll start to be able to see what people are clicking on, and it gives you really rich data. It's also an alternative to a market update. So a couple of little paragraphs at the front and then just dropping a market insights tile into it can be a really powerful way to start to capture insights and intentions from that data. We also have our real estate content library across Australia and New Zealand and the US. There's over 1,000 articles in there now, and there's a very good size of articles for New Zealand and over 600 articles for Australia. And that's growing every single month. There's fresh content every month, and we're starting to do a lot more news. That is part of the Grow product inside ActivePipe. So there's an extra, that's an upgraded product. Now let's also have a look at some really powerful automations that you can create. So yeah, here's where my OFI feedbacks went to. So how can you do less? How can you get all these leads for less work? That's really the question that we want to answer, right? First of all, OFI feedback. So open for inspection. I've had an inspection. I've had 20 parties through. It's going to take me at least a day to get through all of those people, or half a day to get through all those people, but send an OFI feedback form out and understand who to call in what order. You still probably want to go and speak to at least half of those 20 people, but you'll know the ones that you need to prioritize that are the most engaged around it. And you can easily set that up as an automation. Retagging. We love this part of ActivePipe. Basically, whenever someone on the survey indicates that they're no longer a buyer, or they're no longer a seller, or they're now deciding that they want to get into investment, or they're looking at properties that are 2-bedroom home apartments as opposed to 4-bedroom homes, then that ActivePipe sends that information back to your database and retags that customer automatically. So you don't need to do anything about it. They will start to move through. Now, if someone moves from being a VIP, for example, through to a seller, then you can actually even then set up a series of emails that they get on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, however you want to set it up, so that you don't have to do anything. But, so Joe Blogs moves from VIP to seller into your database on the 1st of the month, and he starts to get email 1, 2, 3, 4 over the period of the month. Mary Jane joins your database, moves from VIP to seller on the middle of the month. She gets the same email sequence or a similar email sequence based on her preferences to what Joe got over here, but she gets it at different times because she joined differently. So I hope that makes sense. Basically, they're running through a campaign at the time when they moved over. You don't have to think, oh, but that was my April campaign and now I have to do the May one. That only happens if you try to do everything manually. So let the automation do the work. Email sequences, jumped ahead of myself. So email sequences, that can setting up automatic email campaigns when someone new joins your email database. So remember how at the beginning we talked about inside your VIP email database, you've probably got a whole bunch of people who are property owners, but you don't have their email address yet, or the guy from the coffee shop, or all of that stuff. Ask them for their email address. And when you put their email address into your contact database and you tag them as a VIP, first thing they get is an automated email that you set up that says, hey, Joe, thanks for sharing your email address with me. We're going to, I love sharing information about how our local market is performing. Promise not to spam, not to send you information too often. But if there's anything I can do to help you out in real estate, don't hesitate to give me a call. So just a really soft intro that just says, I've got your email address. I'm going to send you stuff. It's going to be useful and informative. Thanks for joining my email. And that's all you have to do, but it'll automatically send that out to them. And anniversary emails, super easy. So basically set up that, on the first anniversary of someone having bought a home through you, they get an email. On the 5th year or the 6th year or the 10th year, like just choose whatever dates you want and write a little email and set it up. And the system will identify people in your database that's when you did it and start to send them out. You don't have to think about it. It's happening in the background. Really powerful automations that you can set up that can be super powerful for your business. Just gonna, you can send one to them on their birthday. That's one. You can have a happy birthday email. You can have different versions of it based on how old they are. Now, here's the other amazing thing. Is that when, and this is my favorite automation, it's also Henry Osborne's favorite automation, is one that we talked about before. It's that the properties will match their preference and price points. So you've got an email, say you've got your buyer email and you've got, how the market, here's your latest listing, or here's the, a record price in our area. Here's some information about how to buy an email, and here's 4 properties that might be of interest to you right now. Those 4 properties are all based on my preference points. So I get an email talking about 4-bedroom family homes. Henry gets an email talking about 2-bedroom apartments. Sorry, Henry, maybe it's the other way around. Now, I really want you to, as we wrap this up, I really want you to understand that we need to tie our activities that are happening digitally with our real life, in real life. What you see from all of this activity, you know, open rates, click-through rates, engagement rates, people filling in surveys, what that is doing is giving you information back that is helping you prioritize the calls that you make on a daily basis. Excuse me. I think I'm just going to make it. Excuse me, sorry. I really wanted to encourage you to start to collect better data, whether you're down the street, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, saying g'day to, you're having dinner at a local restaurant with your family. Grab their business cards, get them into the database, ask people if you can share information about how the market is performing. Don't ask them. Hang on 2 seconds. I just really need to cough. Sorry, I'm down the coast and it's very possible I swallowed a fly. Anyway, really want to encourage you to do better OFI content collection and responses. So everyone who comes through to an open for inspection, ask them to leave their email address, tell them that you're going to share information about how the market's performing with them just once a month. Won't be onerous. Click on open it up, don't open it up, that's up to them. Also, this ties in with any campaigns you want to do around letterbox drops or even door knocking activity. Because if you think back to what that dashboard showed you and where the properties are that people are clicking on, if you've got people, you can see people in your neighborhood that have opened up your emails, and you can start to door knock because you know that there might be a little cluster of people that are opening emails in one section, or you want to do a door knock in there. So also absolutely tie this through to physical, you know, the physical activity as well, because look, you can't send emails all day. Sometimes it's nice to go for a walk in the fresh air and have a chat to people. And this is going to put purpose into your community and your local contacts. So every email address you get inside your database is one more opportunity to connect with someone, to be of service to them, to help them with their property journey, and a way of building up that VIP list so that you can convert as many of those VIPs into sellers. Here's what we want to do. Tom Panos's line. We want to make our offline and our online activities, we want to bring them in line. So this is our goal. And that dashboard is absolutely the goal that you need to help you prioritize that. So look, that's it from me. I hope you found it helpful. I haven't been able to follow the chats because I've had a bit going on, but I'm about to go and check them out. If there's any questions, Chris, at ActivePipe, we'd love to help you get all of this stuff set up for you. You can learn a lot more about our dashboard through going through our library of content and through our help content. Consider upgrading to the Grow products that have real estate content or the market insights. Talk to your success manager if that stuff is of interest to you. And if you're not sure who your success manager is, email success@activepipe.com.au, and our support team are awesome if you need help. And we've got heaps and heaps of webinars on this and other topics. So we'll share all of them, and here are some of our resources that we're happy to share. So that's it.